Hi, I'm Dr. Diana Bizecki Robson, the Curator of Botany at the Manitoba Museum, and today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the edible wild plants that grow right here in Manitoba. There are three main kinds of wild edible fruits. There are the berries, the cherries, and what I like to call the faux berries. So we'll start with berries. What is a berry? Berries actually formed from a single ovary, and it contains multiple seeds inside. So good examples of wild berries that we have, one of the most popular ones is Saskatoon, and that species is quite a tall shrub, usually about a couple meters in height, and it has these beautiful purple berries with a distinctive little fringe of sepals at the tip, and the leaves of that species are toothed, but only at the top. The other kind of berry that's very common and very popular are the blueberries, and there are several species in Manitoba. The two species I've got here are dwarf blueberry and velvet-leaved blueberry. Blueberries are quite a bit shorter than Saskatoons. They're usually maybe only half a meter or less, and their berries are more blue than purple. And they typically grow in more forested areas, whereas the Saskatoons are more common in the prairies and in the parklands in little bluffs. So the other kind of fruit that's very common here are cherries, wild cherries. This is a domestic cherry, but we all know that cherries are distinctive because they have that single hard pit inside. And that means that the plant is what we call a drupe rather than a berry. So there are a few species, 5 species in Manitoba of wild cherries that are edible. We have the American wild plum and Canada plum. And those species, of course, have that single hard pit, and they look like pretty similar to the plums that you get in the grocery store. And then the other cherries that we have here include choke cherry, pin cherry, and sand cherry. And all of these shrubs are actually, again, quite tall, several meters usually, except the sand cherry. That one's a little bit shorter and typically only grows in sandy areas like out at the Mars Sandhills. So if you are going to eat those species, make sure you spit out the pit, because the pits actually contain cyanide in them. So you don't want to be consuming that. You want to remove it before you eat it. In the case of a plum or with a choke cherry, you can just pop in your mouth and spit the pits out. So the third kind of fruits that we have, I like to call them faux berries, because we call them berries, but structurally they're not actually berries. And first one is strawberry. We have 2 species of strawberries, the wild strawberry and the wood strawberry. And they, of course, produce strawberries that are quite a bit smaller than this one. The fleshy part of the strawberry that we enjoy eating is actually really kind of an enlarged giant petal. And the fruits are all of the teeny little things on the outside of it that we call seeds. So when you eat a strawberry, you're actually eating a whole bunch of tiny little dry fruits and a big petal. And the other kind of faux berry that we have in Manitoba are raspberries. Raspberries also are quite a bit different than real berries. They consist of tiny little drupes that are all clustered together on a common stalk. And we have 2 of the common species that you can find in the forests include the wild red raspberry, which is a shrub, fairly low shrub, covered in little spines, and dewberry, which is a shorter, more of a herbaceous type plant that you find deeper in the forest. So if you are going to do any foraging, please remember to get a good field guide and make sure you can identify all of them properly, because there are some species of berries out there that are poisonous. You don't want to be eating the poisonous ones, so forage safe. Have a good summer.